Hello, and welcome everyone to our Spyrothon Vortaliany tournament. I hope everyone is doing well today. For those of you who don't know, Vortaliany is a relay race between the three original games. We have Vortex from Spyro 1, Vortex Talisman from Spyro 2, and 10% from Spyro 3. This is going to be a series of qualifying games we have between different teams, in which the final team will play each other during our main event on August 20th to August 21st. Right now, this is our first qualifier. Our next qualifier will be next Friday night, so be sure to tune into that as well. This will be a best of three, meaning that we could potentially have three different races going on, depending on how evenly matched these teams are and how well everyone performs. And our first match is going to be between the Elora launchers versus the children of Wonl. I'm going to hand it over to today's commentators, which are going to be Dylan J. Fox and Thrasher, and I just want to wish best of luck to the runners.
Thank you for that, Super. Super excited to be here. I know all the runners are really looking forward to showcasing what Vortaliany really is and what these individual categories can do when put together in a relay. And I'm super excited for this. How are you feeling about it, Thrasher?
I'm really excited. I'm fired up. I know these two teams, or the people in these relays, and they do really well whenever they perform. And we're gonna be in for a really neat race. Really exciting.
Awesome. Is Tooper giving the countdown, or are one of us? Probably a better question for before we start.
I guess.
All right. I think we'll do the countdown here. Thrasher, would you like the honors?
Absolutely, Dylan. All right, runners ready?
Ready?
Yep. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So here. Yep. So here we're starting off with Spyro 3. We're actually doing the game order of Spyro 3, Spyro 2, then Spyro 1. Just so you guys know. Spyro 3 is arguably the most trick intensive. It also has some weird cutscene crashes, which we're actually seeing on the side of the Elora launches right now. It seems like we're having a bit of trouble getting past this cutscene. Hopefully we can get it working here in a second. That's definitely going to come into play, is how many cutscene crashes we see in Spyro 3, because those can lose a pretty significant portion of time in the early game, especially. But on the side of the Elora launchers representing that team, we have Blunt Bows, who you might know mainly from Spyro 2, but his escapades in Spyro 3 have led to some pretty sick success in the category, with him scoring a very sick time. And on the side of the Children of Wonl, we got Fady 180, who is inarguably the most attractive Spyro 3 any% runner I have seen. And he can do a shoey, and not many people can do that. What are your thoughts, Thrasher?
Let's see here. So we've just got got the opening stages here. Got through Sunny Flight pretty quickly for both of them. They're, really good at getting that first proxy. It tends to be a common reset point for 3 any runners.
Yeah, no, it's definitely dope to see them both actually on a quick little swim in there from the Children of Wonl from Fady here. I'm trying to make sure I get the team names right, because I have the worst fear of getting them wrong. Ooh, a little bit of a struggle there from Blunt. To be honest with you, this waterfall proxy is incredibly precise, so seeing them kind of fumble it a bit here, not particularly surprising, as it's just a tough trick. All right.
Yeah.
On the side of Fady, it does look like they're going for the proxy. But, okay. We're seeing Blunt go for the backup, which is Whirlwind Bypass. Unfortunately, if you just keep missing Waterfall, it is just such a huge time loss to keep going for. So unfortunately, Blunt is just going to have to take it and get to Aquaria the kind of easier way. But there's plenty of time, plenty of things in this run that could set Fady back, and plenty of things that Blunt could do to catch up some time going forward. So this still is anybody's race, really, even though we're pretty early on this first hub.
Yep.
What do you think are some really big things to look out for here, Thrasher? Like things that will make a big difference?
Things that are gonna make a big difference. Pretty much for beginning runners, Helmet Proxy towards the end is going to be kind of a equalizer, but with both of these runners being very seasoned, there may be a little bit of problems, like if there's a whole bunch of pressure, but I otherwise see them getting into the Sorceress pretty quickly. Let's see here. It'd be interesting to see exactly what happens in Fireworks Factory, like which proxy, like, because there's a dozen different ways you can get to the end there that are really interesting to see, whether there's Firefly, or I wonder if one of them is going to go for Rhinoc Proxy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, there's definitely a number of things that they could go for, just across the myriad of levels. Like Spyro 3 is such a wide open and diverse category in terms of strategies that you can go for, things that you can implement. We're seeing both runners actually run into a bit of trouble with the Pizza Hut, as it's known, the little wall glide on top of the Molten Crater portal. But right now, it's still looking like Fady's got a bit of a lead here on Blunt in the early goings, which is pretty promising. One thing to actually note about Fady in particular is for a very long time, they were an emulator-only runner. And this is actually their first week of doing full runs on PSTV. So I know that was one factor that I talked to Fady about this morning, for me this morning, last night for him, during his streams, was going to be something that really affected him, is the transition muscle memory wise. Which is a huge factor. I mean, PSTV saves a ton of time, but the muscle memory you gain from playing on any platform is always going to be vastly different than that which is required on another. So I can definitely see that playing a factor here. In this race is just the comfortability level of Blunt probably being significantly higher than Fady right now, as well as the fact that Fady might have just woke up, but don't tell him I said that to any of you in chat, okay? Okay, chat, we're friends. We're good friends.
Blunt Bows at Blunt Bows at Blunt Bows.
Nah, Blunt's awake. Blunt's awake. All right.
Yeah, there's definitely quite the significant trade-off between running on hardware and then running on PSTV, where you've got the benefit of the extra load times, but I've heard that getting used to the input lag is quite a challenge at first.
Yeah, PSTV is it's a bit weird. Like, it's the most optimal console to run Spyro 3 on, strictly because of load times being faster than on FDS on PS2. But the input delay is just significantly higher, and it is furthered in certain levels. So I believe one of the laggier levels in general is Midnight Mountain, just because there's a lot of stuff going on it. It's a big level. So Helmet Proxy is something that you mentioned earlier is a big choke point for runners. Fady hasn't had that much experience doing Helmet Proxy on PSEV, which is something I would like to bring up because that could be the deciding factor at the end of this race. Or at least in terms of the Spyro 3 leg of the race. Also, right there, we saw Fady go for his only Spyro 3 trick that he's patented. He told me it's his only, so I'm noting it as only, in Moose Boost. He didn't actually get it. I have no idea what it does. But yeah. Apparently Fady's popping off according to chat. So I hope he actually did hit it. I couldn't really tell what it looks like. He just told me it's Moose Boost, and I haven't seen it yet.
Listen carefully, you.
So we are moving on to the first boss, it looks like, for Fady 180. We got Blunt not too far behind, I think. So we got a little bit of a intermission for the runners, a little bit of a break, shall we say. Once you're able to figure out exactly how to cheese this boss, it actually winds up being kind of a non-issue.
So essentially what we do here is we manipulate the camera in such a way where the flames that would be on Buzz don't actually really spawn, and his little spinny animation, because you're on the edge of the platform, just kind of stops. So you just kind of get to neutralize his attack, and it becomes from one of like the hardest bosses in this game to probably the easiest, which is pretty dope. And just like that, Fady's finishing him off. And we're going to collect another egg here and then move on to Midday Gardens on the Children of Wonl side.
So we've got, we got Fady leaving and saying hi to Blunt on his way in.
Mm-hmm.
So next we've got, Midday Gardens. So let's see here. First gonna go for Bird, if I remember correctly.
Yep. And to get into Bird, there's a couple of methods, but both of these runners are going to do what's called a bridge swim. Bridge swim, it's another swim in air, which we saw at least two of, two different kinds in the first hub. This one, it kind of features a little out of bounds and kind of a clip to secure the swim in air itself. Fady, very quick, very nice, very skillful. Basically, you want Spyro to be bobbing up. And as you're bobbing up and you're against that wall, if you catch it at the right time and you charge down, you'll go straight through the wall and be swimming, which is ideal for getting into Sergeant Bird's base, which is the second critter character we get to play as in this run. For the other two runs, we'll only basically play as Spyro, so it's kind of cool to see a couple of levels be a bit diverse. I know not everybody particularly loves the critters in this game, and I can't blame them. But I would argue that Sergeant Bird is probably the coolest. He's a sergeant and a bird. Kind of dope.
Yeah. Plus the rockets are, maybe a little bit persuasive too.
Yeah, compared to like, I don't know, Agent 9. Smile. Ooh, Blunt with a nice swim in air too right there.
We are seeing Blunt catch up to him.
I would also argue that for the speedrun side of things, Bird is probably the most interesting of all the characters to kind of play as in 80%, just because there's actually movement tech to him, which of course you don't play as Agent 9 because we don't end up getting him towards the end of the run. And even though the movement tech is basically just holding the shoulder buttons, it's something, you gotta give it something. Because it definitely improves the quality of the run a bit by having that as an option, as opposed to just flying through normally. Because Bird is very slow otherwise. All right. And so one thing to mention about Vortaliany as a whole, just because we're on topic of like the whole entire trilogy essentially here, is that it's intended to be like an all levels type run for each of the individual games. So the intention is just going to be getting to the end of each level as fast as possible. Of course, it's not a true all levels because you don't do every single level in Midnight Mountain, for example, and you don't do every level in Winter Tundra. But you do kind of the ones that you need to get to the end of the game, which all three categories will do pretty cool stuff to acquire the ability to get there. In Spyro 2, we're going to do things like Climeless, but in Spyro 3, we just need to get into like a lot of portals without having the proper egg counts, because there's a lot of portals. Fady's having a bit of a moment here. I'm not sure what's happening. I think Fady might be having just some controller issues. I don't know what just happened. Do you have any comments on Thrasher?
It seems to me like just, a little bit of trouble getting Proxy to work, but it's luckily not that much of an issue to go around. It's gonna cost him a little bit of ground against Blunt, but, it's still very early in the run and much, much early in the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So both runners actually missing Croxy here. Basically, a lot of the Spyro 3 levels, weirdly enough, are kind of shaped in this almost like circular pattern where the end of the level is kind of right next to where you start. Specifically there, I mean, if you hit Croxy, the end of level's literally just to the right, essentially, of where you spawn. Same thing with here Bamboo Terrace. We're gonna see them both probably go for Firefly here, or not Firefly, or what's that called?
I do believe that's
Firefly.
Bug Proxy.
Just Bug. Okay.
Just Bug.
Right.
Fady going for the Panda Express, it looks like.
Yeah, a little Panda Express boulder proxy. Ooh, a little too short.
Doesn't quite make it.
But
Blunt,
he's gonna
on the
go
other
for the
hand, gets the
Sproder
bug,
backup.
but going for the Sproder. Yep.
See,
Oh
this
my
is
goodness.
this is what I was talking about. Like there's just so much opportunity in this run for like Blunt to catch up or Fady to lose time. Right there we saw Fady unfortunately miss two pretty important tricks back to back, but he did get a good backup and he is, thinking on his feet here. So we are still seeing a very, very tight race here between two top runners.
Yep. So
Um,
we're pretty much neck and neck at this point, but with Fady
Mhm.
slightly trailing this time. Let's see
Yeah.
here. Next one, we've got a very interesting kind of entry into Enchanted coming out for both of these runners. They're gonna glide around and try and flame
Ooh, I've
the
never seen that flame style. That's cool.
yeah.
It's probably a tiny bit faster because you touched the center of the portal. I've actually never seen Blunt do that, but that was really cool. So here we're gonna see. It looks like Blunt's just going for the glide instead of the proxy.
Yep.
Fady's gonna go for the proxy. No squeeze.
Doesn't get it.
Okay. This isn't a huge time loss. Ooh, now it's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So ideally you get squeezed by the hitbox of the jackhammer guy there, and you can kind of get yourself really high in the air. Oh no, Fady's having a moment. All right. Like I said, there's a lot of factors that are at play here for Fady. It's the PSTV, it's the fact that he's just waking up. Not making excuses for him, but that was definitely a Fady 180 moment right there. I say with love. But we're seeing Blunt take a pretty sizable lead here off of this fumble from Fady. Okay. He's got back up there. He's got a chance. He just has to get this momentum concert. Ooh, we're good.
There we go. Yep.
All right.
All right. On the Blunt side of things, we'll see if he gets that very long ICP jump or ICP glide. Oh, and he gets
That
it.
was tight.
Very tight. Very tight indeed.
One thing to mention, and I actually was going to when he got into Icy Peak, but I was so focused on Fady's perspective, is Blunt told me that if he was ahead, he was gonna go for the ice wall boost, but doesn't look like he did, and my heart's a little bit broken. It's a little strat that saves about 5 seconds on what he actually just did. It's significantly harder, but it's also significantly more poggers. But either way, we move, and Blunt's actually heading into the second boss, which is Spike. One of the weird things about boss in this game that I want to mention is just the fact that there's like a difficulty scaling. So because we've only collected so many eggs and so many gems, this is actually going to be what's considered to be easy mode Spike. So we only actually have to hit him with 2 rocks and then 2 red rocks and then 2 blue rocks to do damage or to finish him off in this fight, which is significantly easier than what you'd have to do for 117 and for 100 egg. It's very weird. I never understood why this actually exists beyond just it does.
Probably just anti-frustration features for from Insomniac for beginner type players and such. There's a few eggs that if you're still learning 3NE as a category, there's a few eggs that you can collect that will probably trigger the hard mode. So
Yeah.
it's one of those paradoxical things of doing the easy things later will make things harder, or doing the easy things earlier, sorry, makes things harder a little bit later.
Yeah. Like one of those eggs, for example, there's like an alternate method to get a swim in air in Sunrise Spring where you could collect the egg inside the cave in Sunrise Spring, like after you would do like the whole like little hunter and glidey mini game thing. Fady having a bit of a moment here in the Spike fight. He almost just had a nice like little early hit, but for whatever reason just seemed like he was not in a position to capitalize on it.
Blunt successfully avoiding Honey Speedway and going into Bentley.
Yeah, I was just not even looking. I just noticed that he was going into Bentley, and for some reason I was thinking Frozen Altars.
Frozen Altars is a good level, but all right. So we're both into the third homeworld of the game, Evening Lake. So this is the last set of levels before we've got 2 bosses, and then we'll send you off to 14 tally.
Oh, you say 2 bosses? I would say 3, because Helmet Proxy's in the mix there, along with Sorceress and Scorch.
Valid.
Sport.
Valid. Yep.
So, only being the last of our critter levels, it's a good reprieve. There's not really a lot going on in this level besides the entry, which we're seeing Fady do right now. I know we didn't really talk about it much on the Blunt entry, but basically the whole intention here is to line yourself up in such a way where you hit the Bentley portal and avoid the Honey Speedway portal, because I promise you, if you try to do exactly what Fady just did, and you've never done it before, you will almost assuredly end up in Honey Speedway because it's so weirdly precise. But yeah, Bentley a nice little reprieve for runners. I personally love getting to this level because it's right before the rest of the game that is, in my opinion, the hardest section. Because you have Cat Proxy, you have Firefly, you have Zombie, you have Scorch, which isn't hard, but it's RNG, so that makes it, innately difficult or frustrating. And of course, you have Helmet, which is nerve-wracking, because that's the moment before you PB or you don't.
I've definitely not spent, 20 plus minutes on specifically Helmet Proxy alone. Little proxy that's a little bit of a pain in the neck. We got Blunt launching off that mammoth to get to the end of Frozen Altars just about as quickly as he entered it.
Yeah. Very nice little mammoth proxy. So a lot of what these runners are doing, and I haven't touched on proxies very much considering how far we are into this, but essentially the majority of tricks in this category are down to what are called dead body proxies. Where essentially you're manipulating the hitbox of an enemy, or in some cases a fodder, to propel Spyro upwards or in a direction that is advantageous towards getting to the end of the level as fast as possible. In that case of Frozen Altars here, we're going to see Fady hit it probably. I'm going to have all faith and just put it all on Fady. Always going back, I thought the skyboxes for Frozen Altars and Bentley are so light for me. They're just mountainous areas.
They are very similar, yeah. All right, we got
a little Firefly.
Firefly. Very nicely done. Gets you right to the end of the level there.
Yep. And that cutscene is completely connected to Spyro's positioning. Also, Fady hitting the Mammoth Proxy. Not a doubt in my mind that he was going to hit that.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, this race is... I know that Blunt's essentially a level ahead, but it still really is anybody's race right now. Just because of the next, 2 or 3 levels, or 2 or 3 splits, essentially, being incredibly difficult. So, if Fady just goes, 3 for 3 or 4 for 4 now, actually. If he hits Firefly, then everything else, and Blunt even misses one thing, it's a pretty big swing in favor of Fady.
Yeah.
Just because of the time loss that is attributed to the tricks involved. Blunt getting a nice little boost there. Very, very good. Gonna get the save point here and hop in there. What this does is it sets Crazy Ed to the end of the level. Ooh, no Firefly for Fady.
Firefly. Nope.
Pain. Alright. Blunt having a phenomenal evening so far, might I say.
Just like that, we're at the very end of that, and instead of exiting out of the level directly, what he's going to do is he's going to induce a state called Zombie, where he's going to pause and exit the level right when Spyro's about to die, essentially. So to trick the game into thinking that Spyro's dead, but keeping him in the state that he's in, so he can basically swim out of bounds and into Charmed Ridge, like he's doing right now.
Yep, and this is the only way to get Spyro to do a proper swim in air in this hub. meaning that zombie is just it's one of the most valuable tricks. You can actually do it from Fireworks Factory as well. But obviously it's just not quite as optimal considering where we want it to be.
Yeah.
But zombieing is the only thing that we can really do. And we hit the cab proxy. Alright, so I don't think Blunt is on PB pace, unfortunately. But I think that's strictly down to the fact of how the went, the waterfall at the beginning of the run went. But other than that, this run has been stellar from Blunt. Fady putting on a great performance too, don't get me wrong. But unfortunately, he's missing a couple of pieces here. Ooh, struggling a bit. It seems like a lot of what I'm seeing is kind of input related stuff, which again is just kind of down to the fact that he's very fresh to PSTV and that input delay. So he's still remapping his muscle memory quite a bit.
That's it. I've had enough.
Right, so the RNG element for this particular run is this boss fight coming up on Blunt's end, Scorch. So Bentley is going to be giving Spyro one of two different weapons to fight Scorch. They're either going to be red rockets, which we want, or green rockets, which is just a single shot that homes in that we don't want because it's inefficient. And we get a green rocket. It still hurts.
Beatty struggling on zombie right there.
Oh no.
Beatty having a rough one right now.
He's got this though. He's got this.
Oh no. Okay, so Fady's in a pretty dire state right now. Yeah, he's still gonna go for zombie. So he needs to hit zombie here for one.
Ooh, and it doesn't happen. That's a game over.
Okay, so what I was gonna say is, in Charmed Ridge, you either basically hit Cat Proxy, or you don't. And if you don't, you need to take a Death Abuse. That way you can go Whirlwinds to actually make the end of level if you have to run around. But because he was on 0 lives, he couldn't really take a Death Abuse. And he couldn't, like, secure a life and then take a Death Abuse because he doesn't have a Sparks to actually get out of zombie, essentially. So it makes it just very tough. Fady,
Yeah.
No.
And this
I'm
is
telling
where
you,
the
it's
input delay is really biting him because, unfortunately, that's a very frame-perfect response on being able to exit the level.
Yeah. Like, there is some wiggle room with this trick, but not nearly as much as you might think. So here we're seeing Blunt, currently at Midnight Mountain, about to go for Helmet Proxy. We're gonna see him flame a couple of lizards because what this does, allegedly, and I actually believe in this allegedly thing, by eliminating assets, it makes the level less laggy. So it makes Helmet Proxy more consistent by proxy of that. And I have found significantly more success with it because of this. And as evident by Blunt hitting it first try with literally no issue, it's pretty believable. So Blunt into Sorceress, and we're going to be looking to move on to Spyro 2 here in a second. For team Elora launchers. All right, Fady finally hitting zombie. I gotta be honest with you, that is one of the most relatable things I've ever seen in this category. Sometimes the tricks just don't work. It's just so brutal. And as I was mentioning before, there's just some times where it doesn't work how you want it to. Blunt getting the early cannon, gonna be going here for the early tank as well, I'd assume. Unfortunately, getting a little bit of fireball action from the Sorceress and somehow not hitting either cannon shot. The first one looked like it definitely hit, but you know, sometimes Sorceress be like that. Here we're gonna see him try to thread the needle and bring the Sorceress in for a couple of hits. Ooh, that's not good. All right, so that's a tough one. So I don't think he's gonna be able to get tank off of this. He might be able to find a manip for it still. Fady trying to Schroeder, kind of. I don't know. I was unsure of what just happened there a little bit. So it looks like Blunt's gonna be relying on saucer strats here at a moment. And yeah, honestly, a really good run. Really good run from Blunt.
Yep. Definitely
because
pulled
he
it
had
back from the early game.
Yeah. Oh my. This sorcerer's fight is just not going his way though. But this is what Fady it's kind of what Fady needed a little bit of after that unfortunate set of events that happened in Lost Fleet. It's just a tough trick, isn't it? You know, like not all of us can be Derek Zombielander and just hit it first try every try. You know, just doesn't happen that way. And that's time on the Spyro 3 leg. And we're moving on to Noyar for Spyro 2 here on Team Elora launchers. Seeing a little bit of an interesting cropping. I love you, John Spyrothon. All right, we're basically there right on time. That's so sick. That was such good upcounting. Great job, Phoenix. And we're seeing Fady. Currently, got good RNG in Bentley. First try Red Rocket. That's always good.
Yeah. So the red rockets allow you to lay a whole bunch of different hits on Scorch at once, and they all do the same damage as like one green rocket. So that's definitely why it's the preferred weapon that Bentley gives you, but you don't really have control over that.
Yep.
All right, we got Neuer getting out of Glimmer, very quick and easy.
Yep.
So with Spyro 2, 14,000. One thing that we gotta route in here that you don't have to worry about with either Vortex or 3Any is gem collecting. Depending on the routes, it's going to vary exactly how many you need and how many times you need to pay money bags. But bare minimum, if you're able to get past just about everything, you still, at bare minimum, need 800 gems by the time you get towards the end of Autumn Plains. That's 400 gems to unlock Zephyr, and that's 400 gems to unlock Shitty Oasis.
Yep. And specifically in the case of Noyar, I believe Noyar does the swim route. I like the flame transition there. A lot of flavor. I believe Noyar tries to optimally collect 500 gems before getting to the second half of the first hub. Just so we can have swim. Because I don't believe he's quite as confident in some of the proxies as well as the Proton Defeater as some runners might be. I believe Noyar does this route. And I am speaking from the experience of me doing this route and also seeing him doing quite a bit of gem collecting here in the early game, which I don't commonly see in other 14 tally runners.
Right. It's just a matter of what you feel confident in going with, because in order to really go for a swimless route, you need to have your proxies on point, and especially Sunny Beach and Aquaria Towers, where normal completion of the level requires you to be able to swim underwater.
It's there's a lot of like easier things to do in Spyro 2, which can definitely contribute to having a more enjoyable time, just generally with the category, or a more lax time. But it's definitely a brutal category. All three of these categories feature some incredibly brutal tricks that can be like super punishing if you miss. But thankfully we're seeing a bunch of incredibly talented runners who are still all zoned in. Like Fady had his big hiccup in Lost Fleet, but you know, since he got out of it, he's been trucking along, and I know in the second round he's going to bounce back. He's gonna put together a stellar performance for us, even better than this, which, mind you, is still significantly better than myself or many other runners could put together in an environment like this. So credit to every runner that's here right now putting together runs for us.
Absolutely. We've got good performances coming, and we've already seen good performances already. We got a GG for Fady.
Big
so we're gonna
for Fady.
We're going to be moving on to Mouse with 14 tally for Children's Birthday.
Yep.
So we've got Colossus for Blunt's team. Didn't really get to talk a whole bunch about Idle Springs with that, aside from a few bug boxes, otherwise pretty straightforward.
Right. So one thing to mention about Noyar here, compared to actually not compared to Mouse, both Mouse and Noyar are 14 tally runners. That's one thing that they share in common. But another thing is that they're both playing on emulator, which typically in this category loses somewhere in the range of like a minute and a half, just in loads alone, to a PlayStation 2 on assist speed. Meaning that both their PBs, if you were to look at the speedrun.com leaderboards, are quite a bit faster than like they really actually are, if that makes sense. Like if you were to do like the math to adjust them. So we're dealing with two really high level, really good runners. Right in this category, which is, in my opinion, it's hard because of the early game. And I know that Mouse is going to take every strat that he is doing, and he's just gonna go for everything. Also, I was right. Noyar does do the swim route. I'm pogging.
To cop a line from Derek, we are getting confirmation in chat that Noyar is on console. So both are on PS2. It looks like.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's that his PB is on MU. My apologies. That is a misread for me. So I had some notes written up for this relay just so I can quote some things from runners and kind of talk about their specific accolades and stuff like that and runs. And I wrote down that their PB is on console, and I was misspeaking on that. My apologies. I can't believe I would do this. But basically what I'm saying here at this point is that Noyar is a filthy cheater because they're on console. Yeah. I say it with love. So Noyar going for an interesting Hurricane strategy. This is a strategy that I don't see as often. So you're supposed to clip in bounds in the talisman room there. Unfortunately, I think he just kind of struggled on the turnaround because of the camera. And I'm not fully sure if this is like intended with his gem routing. It looks like it is.
It does look like it is. So I do buy that way.
It has to be, right? I've never seen someone route that level quite like that, but that's really cool. Because I'd assume that looked like a lot of really good gems just all together. Yeah. What are your thoughts so far? Who do you think has the leg up in terms of just purely like what we're going into with the rest of this race here in terms of 14 tally, and in terms of Vortex? Like what are your thoughts right now, Thrasher? Who are you pulling for?
I am pulling for both of them. He said, to not want to bring.
Oh my god.
But if I'm honest,
be controversial.
Yes,
Come on.
Both runners are really good, I would say. I would feel like we might get a little bit more where it's Mouse is probably going to maybe catch up a little bit more, probably because he's focused on specifically this category for quite a bit. He's gotten his PB down quite a bit.
That's a good point to bring up, is like how consistently the runners have been actively running their category in question. As I do know, like, for example, in the last race, Fady has been running Spyro 380% like relentlessly for like over a year now. Whereas like Blunt is like relatively fresh to the category, but a bit more comfortable with their inputs because of the platform they've been playing on. Like these are huge factors that people don't think about, because like consistency is key in a best of 3. You need to like be able to put out a great reset list potentially 3 times to secure your team a chance to win and really get into this final game, which is ultimately what we're playing for, right? And that's a skill in itself. Doing reset lists, it's not easy. It's especially not easy to do reset lists in a category as volatile as any of the 3 that are being performed today. So again, I know I keep putting credit to the runners, but you have to applaud their tenacity, their ability to kind of come out here and perform and give us the best they have. Because, frankly, I couldn't play at any of their levels at my best, let alone in just a reset list. So, huge props to everyone involved right now.
Yep. Takes a lot of dedication. And we've got... almost got the Sheep Proxy on Noyer's end.
It's okay. That would have been a big swing for Noy because, again, He does have swim, so like it's not a huge deal for him. Missing sheep proxy or missing sheep proxy or missing turtle proxy here, potentially for Mouse, is a pretty big time loss, depending on how many times, of course. Like if we see Mouse do what he just did like 10 more times, that's gonna be a rough split, but it's a tough one, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Mouse doesn't have swim, so he can't get around the level otherwise. He needs to do this.
Yes. That's where that little bit of risk and reward comes in with being able to skip swim, having to, being able to skip the routing for 500 different gems.
Yep.
Is you also gotta pay your dues some way, whether it's in skill or in gems.
Yep, absolutely. Again, just adding to the volatility of each of the individual categories. There's just a lot of stuff. Oh, did I say Fady Waffle?
Before you get to the castle dungeon.
I meant to say Mouse if I did. Oh, they changed the name on the thing. My bad. But yeah, we're gonna see Mouse having to do sheep here. I've seen Mouse as sheep, and it's pretty consistent, I will say. So I have a lot of confidence in them being able to hit this here. Hopefully I didn't just commentator's curse them. But over on the Noyar side of things, we're in the Crush fight, which is of course the first boss, and the only appearance of Crush. No love for Crush. Ripto's in every single fight, gulps in at least 2 of them. Crush only gets this one moment. This is his entire moment in the sun. And the plan with this boss fight is to try to keep him on the panel he's actually on right now. By doing this, it allows you to kind of manipulate the hit that he does. So he has these 2 attack styles of red and blue. If you keep him on the blue one, it's very advantageous because all you have to do is do that little jump, do a little double jump or just regular jump there, and he'll just keep running back as long as you get him off the platform just a little bit. And it's super quick, super easy, and makes this boss fight pretty consistent. Also, sheep proxy from Mouse. They're goated. Wait, no, they're not. I lied to you. I thought they were exiting. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Oh no, I commentated.
Goodness me, Dylan.
Actually, you're supposed to cover for me.
Hey man, I'm following your lead. This is the first time I've done this. Okay.
There
right,
we go.
There we are. Mouse has got it. We've got Noyar heading into Autumn Plains after having effortlessly taken out Crush. Got this long crystal... almost said crystal flight. Crystal Glacier Glide. It's going to be kind of a similar vein to the Icy Peak Glide, except he's got the benefit of double jump here. So, still a little bit of a tight glide, but he makes it.
Yep. And there's a couple of different ways to take that glide. You can do it exactly how he did. Also, we got a little Sproder action here, which is mechanic, primarily used in Spyro 2, but does feature in Spyro 3 as we saw in Bamboo Terrace. Yeah, that glide at the beginning of Crystal Glacier in particular, the thing that makes it challenging is if you do it the way that he did. Because you want to kind of halt your momentum and then do a quick double jump input. Alternatively, you can also go on top of the bone that you would usually be flung by the Eskimos on. But that's a little bit slower, and obviously we're speedrunners. If we do anything slow, then we're kind of going against our religion, in a sense. So, yeah. So,
very neat little skips into past where you'd have to free the cavemen, but you don't have to if you're really good at spurtering and really good at knowing where to double jump. All right, so what Mouse is doing here might look a little different with how Noyar fought Crush. The thing that interrupts his attack cycle for at least the first handful of hits is he stops the moment Spyro gets hurt. So if you manipulate that by jumping into the lava, then that makes things progress that much quicker.
No cap at proxy from Noyar, sad.
No.
Cap Rat Proxies, pretty clean little level. It's a little trick. It saves like maybe 2 seconds or something. I think it's a little more like 3. But it's always funny to see. So both runners now in Autumn Plains. Currently, they're quick levels, or like specifically Skelos Badlands is a pretty quick level. So I say 2 levels. It's more like 1.5 because Skelos, it's just the end of levels right there. It's pretty quick to get to the end of. Yep. There still is a lot of potential here for Mouse to come back. I know the factor of he's going to have to do a Sproder one way or another because he didn't get Swim, and you need the Swim and Air from Winter Tundra, right? I believe, just knowing Mouse as a person, I believe they're going to try to do Sproder into Ripto.
Thanks for getting...
And the reason I believe this is because they are a gamer, and not that Noyar is not a gamer, but Mouse is like a gamer with a capital G, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And
cool.
I'm kind of scared, but I'm also kind of excited to see what happens. Because if he hits a first try Sproder and Ripto, that alone pretty much ties the game. Because that eliminates an entire load, or not an entire load, an entire like thing that he would need to do otherwise. And saves a good bit of time. So here we're seeing Noyar do Climbeless as well, which is a trick that when you're first learning Spyro 2, if you ever want to learn this game, pretty challenging.
Oh no! That's a tragic bonk. That's gonna lose several seconds.
I have never seen that lineup for the Breeze Harbor portal in my life. But Noyar is playing this in a way where I'm learning things about this game that I didn't know before. Okay, so that opened the door for Mouse. I'm not gonna lie to you, that is a pretty big bonk. That's probably close to 45 seconds. Like that is quite a bit of time. But we're moving into Scorch, and thankfully I think the next couple of levels for both of these runners, actually specifically for Noi, because I don't think... Oh, Cat Bat from Mouse! Let's go,
Beautiful
baby!
Cat Bat.
Let's go. I think that was like the best Cat Bat you can get, probably, like one of the most optimal.
Yeah. He got levels pretty high. Noi is still flexing the pretty quick Scorch, though, too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I gotta say, this Scorch is always going to be better than the one we saw in the last run. You know, there's no RNG, Definitely. It's just running through the level. Still find it incredibly funny how they named a boss after a level of the same name in the previous game.
Yeah, wild.
Chat, can we get a little poll going in chat of which Scorch they like more, Scorch in Spyro 2 or Spyro 3? It's just for science. I just wanna see what people have to say about that.
So let's see. We got Mouse going to the end of Breeze Harbor awfully quickly. So much of a blink and miss it level that we completely missed it on Noyar's end. But yeah, just very quick double jump and a glide, and then get onto the wing of the ship. Some people can get up to that platform maskless, but it's like a 1 or 2 second difference if you can't get up without the mask. But you know, very quick and easy level.
Yeah. Speaking of, well, I wouldn't call it a quick level, but a relatively easy breather level, specifically with the route that Noyar is taking here and freeing the satyrs. Fracture Hills is such a good little breather level if you're not doing satyrless, which I believe we're gonna see Mouse go for. Ooh, Mouse! Both runners struggling on Climbeless.
It's great.
Pressures might be running high. Who knows?
Absolutely. I mean, as mentioned before, I mean, we are in an event to kind of decide who's gonna actually make it to the main stage, right? So this is of course a kind of prelude event to Spyrothon to kind of decide who's gonna be competing. So I'm sure both teams are absolutely trying their hearts out to give us the best performances to make sure they make it onto that main stage. And I can definitely imagine that tension going high. I know I've participated in relays in Spyrothon before, and I will say they are the most nerve-wracking thing, especially when you're a part of a team, because number one thing is you don't want to let your team down. Like, if you have a bad run and you're just running by yourself, that's one thing. But if you're having like a bad run and you're on a team, like the mental side of that is tough. But
it is
thankfully,
crazy.
it's a best of 3 though, so we have a lot of time for any run that might go awry to kind of make its way back to being a solid run.
Absolutely. Alright, so we are entering Magma Cone on Neuer's side, and we're entering Scorch on Mouse's side. Right, so Dylan, are you able to tell us a little bit about Magma Cone and the secrets it holds?
So Magma Cone's a pretty funny level. It's filled with comedy, specifically of the variety that we need to get 2 enemies minimum. The reason why, and this is something that we don't really see it all in Vortaliany aside from this level, is because we need to utilize the power-up in the level, which is a flight power-up in the specific case of Neuer and Mouse, who didn't get climb. As mentioned earlier when we were kind of getting up to Scorch, they did climbless, meaning that they do not have the power-up. So by using that power-up and a little bit of double jump action, we see Neuer hop to the top of the volcano and secure the talisman. It's a pretty chill level, pretty neat. It's a cool way to kind of get through a level that you would otherwise need climb for. Also, Mouse.
Yeah,
Mouse missing Satyr-less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Satyr-less involves not only a whole bunch of platforming skill, it also requires very precise camera manipulation.
It's basically blind platforming because of the camera.
Yeah, exactly. The key is you want it's to prevent certain things to load in. Otherwise, if they do load in, they're going to stop you from getting into that little castle that you need to originally like break the seal to get into by freeing the satyrs. You get it. It's quite the time save, but it is also incredibly difficult.
Even getting it second try here, as long as Mouse does it relatively fast, he'll still make out a little bit faster than he would if he had to, if he had just done the level the normal way. But if he does fail it again, we are gonna see. All right, thankfully we hit it. Unfortunately, the sad part about this, doing this strat this way, is you just don't get to see the fawn, which is easily the best part of Spyro 2, are the fawns in Fracture Hills. If you disagree, fight me.
I disagree. It's listening to the bagpipes that I'm missing out on.
I'm fighting you. We're gonna be swinging.
Neuer making his way through Shady Oasis after paying the mandatory 400 gems to get in there.
Yep.
Seems to be cruising through. Not really a whole bunch of, not a really quick way you can get to the end of it. You need to kind of run through the level.
Yeah. So just to make mention of it, this is the second to last normal like level that we do in 14 Talisman. We're already very close to the end of this run. And Neuer has actually honestly put together a pretty stellar one here. There aren't many things I saw him really mess up, particularly. Obviously, he missed Sheep, which is just, kind of happens.
Yeah.
But altogether, this has been a very, very solid run from Neuer, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's pretty close to PB pace right now. Of course, we do have some pretty challenging tricks and levels ahead of us. Ooh, Mouse messing up the double jump inputs there a bit on Magma Cone. He's going to try to realign himself up here to make sure he gets up there. Ooh, no. Mouse having a bit of a moment. Again, folks, it could be a factor of... Oh, no, we're going to see a zombie here. Yeah, you got a zombie. Yeah, he gets a zombie here. This is not... Oh, this isn't ideal. Okay. So, what Mouse needs to do here, I think, is he's going to collect these gems, hop in the portal, probably get into Shady Oasis, and then probably have to take a death abuse instantly, which is kind of tough because you want to do the escort mission super fast so he shorty has to rubber band off you. But, Neuer having a... Ooh, No!
Oh.
I was gonna say, having a really nice start to Zephyr, that was really quick. He accidentally went a little bit over where he wanted to there. Yep, it's a good charge. Yep, good timing there.
Beautiful.
The first one, it was a little bit early. So he actually charged through the scenery, but part of it's standable, part of it's not. Not going for balloon procs. I'm kind of surprised about that, but either way, still a stellar run from Noyar so far. That definitely only cost about 10 to 15.
Whoa!
Right. Looks like we did take that death abuse on the side of Mouse, Chow's Mouse. Do you ever pronounce Mouse's name actually? Is it Chow's Mouse or like?
I've said Chow's Mouse and I have not been corrected, so I'm guessing that's probably it.
All right. If anyone in chat wants to correct us, feel free to. I'm not gonna read it.
Well done.
I mean, I'll read it. I love you. Oh, okay. Thanks. Thank you, John Spirathon. I appreciate you.
On Spirathon. Let's give it up for John Spirathon, everyone.
Yeah. So time for probably the most infamous boss in Spyro, Gulp. What is there to say about Gulp that hasn't been said already? He's just not fair. He just never is fair. Basically, if you want RNG in a speedrun, you're a masochist, but you should probably play Spyro 2 because Gulp can and will kill several of your runs if you aren't careful. I'm sure any Spyro 2 runner, even a casual Spyro 2 player, can relate to the fact that Gulp just isn't a fun boss. He just doesn't operate fairly. You can never get like the things you want when you want them. And yeah, what are your thoughts on Gulp, Thrasher? Do you love Gulp?
To elaborate maybe a little bit further on that. So where
Gulp Proxy.
Where Bentley gives you like two different things. For the first 3 hits, is it 3 or 6 hits where they give you one specific thing just to show you how it works and kind of
Great.
Gotcha. For the rest of the hits, the pterodactyls are your RNG, and you want to get ones that aren't necessarily that much of a pain in the neck to use, and hopefully also having the weapons close together so you're able to land 2 hits for the price of one.
More specifically,
yeah,
you want a combination of any 2 items, realistically. Like, if you get 3 rockets, that's fine. If you get 2 barrels, that's fine. If you get a bomb and a barrel, that's fine. But you just don't want 3 bombs because that's the only power-up where you can't get 2 hits off of just kind of shooting Gulp with, essentially. Noyar actually had a pretty solid Gulp until the end. Got a couple of doubles, and unfortunately kind of didn't get to lace together the 3rd one. Just off of that RNG, unfortunately. But you can also do things known as triples. They're very hard, but it's exactly what it sounds like. You can hit them 3 times in the same turn. It's just immensely hard and not very consistent. But here in a moment, we're gonna see another Gulp fight from the perspective of Chow's Mouse. Right now, we're seeing Noyar having to hop around a little bit. About to go ahead and do a little out of bounds to get into the Dragon Shores portal. And you might be wondering, why are we going to Dragon Shores, right? Like, what do we have to go to Dragon Shores for, Thrasher? What's the purpose?
well, it largely depends on exactly what you're going there for. If you've already bought Swim, pretty much you're going in there to grab the fireball that you only get if you got 100% in the game. But because of the way the level's kind of structured, it's a little difficult, but you can get out of bounds here and then just kind of double jump to where the power-up is, and then you've got permanent super flame until the console gets reset. If you didn't buy Swim, but you don't Sproter into Ripto, There's a second place you're going to need to go, which is the theater, where you trigger the ending cutscene. Now, what that's going to do is that's going to trick the game into believing that Ripto's already been beaten. So that's going to just assign you that's going to give you access to every single ability that you would originally have to pay money backs for.
Yep, exactly what Thrasher said. As I've mentioned with like the last run as well as this one, there's a number of different things you can do in each of these categories to kind of maximize your potential time save. There's of course the theater strats. There's of course Sproder Deripto.
Spyro.
Noyar electing to do neither in favor of just getting the gems and buy and swim regularly, which arguably might be the most consistent for newer runners, and I'm partial to it specifically because I do that route. But you know, we mentioned RNG and Gulp earlier, by the way, and I just want to say, poor Mouse right now. I'm having a bit of a moment here in Gulp.
That's not being very kind to him at all. The reason for getting the Fireball and Dragon Shore is coming back to that because we're coming right towards the end of Noyar's run. You see how it trivializes the first two phases of Ripto, so you don't have to run around and grab the orbs and such. It's going to switch to Vortex on the last hit here for Noyar. After you get Gulp defeated on Mouse's end, we're going to see how he handles the last phase of the game.
All right. And coming up for Vortex on Noyar's team, we got Anchovy. Great job to Noyar on that 14 tally run. Stellar job. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that was very close to his PB. That was an incredible run for him.
It was wonderful.
That was very, very awesome. Ooh, Penguin not paying dividends here for Mouse. That was unfortunate. All right, so in Spyro 1, we got, like I said, Anchovy. Oh, no, Mouse. Mouse having a bit of a moment here. Okay. I'm not sure what Mouse was doing, but we're moving.
He's doing his best.
So the beginning of Vortex here, not a whole lot to talk about. Of course, the intention with the category is to make it to the Vortex as fast as humanly possible. And Anchovy, of course, just hopping through Stone Hill. Next, they're going to be going through Town Square. Town Square at least has like a little trick where you do a little bit of a, I don't even know what you would call it, like a grind. Is that what that's called in Spyro 1, Thrasher? You're the Spyro 1 guy. Come on.
You know, somehow I don't think we've ever encountered a real name for it, but it's kind of the same principle that you use for magic stairs and such. Oh, and we miss it and we dip into the drink, but thankfully it's not that big of a time, or not that big of a time loss at this point in the run. But she gets it on the second try. Very nice, clean, and easy. Mouse gets the fireball, so that's we're well on our way to finishing 14 tally for Children of Wonl. We got Toasty Wall Glide here for Anne, and she nails it. And we get into Toasty. Nice queen, click and easy. And so we've got the SIR attempt here for Mouse. Oh, that's a tragic flop.
All right, just to explain Sprout into Ripto, in one word, how would you describe it, Thrasher?
Pain.
All right, that's about what I was gonna say. I was gonna say difficult, but inarguably, Sprout into Ripto is the hardest trick in Spyro 2, possibly in the series. Strictly because of the fact that I don't think there are more than 10 runners who can do it, like on an even pseudo consistent basis.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
It requires absolute mastery of knowing how to Sproder, and because the geometry of what you're trying to Sproder against is constantly changing, so you need to have your muscle memory like on point throughout the entirety of it.
Yeah. And here we're seeing a lot of resilience from Mouse, and you gotta respect it, because like honestly, going for this in a race format, it shows a lot of moxie. It shows a lot of courage.
Definitely.
It's just tough, isn't it? Like it's just there's not a trick that really prepares you for Sproder to Ripto adequately. It's right at the end of the run. It is just it's horrendous. It's a trick that I wouldn't personally ever even consider doing, but again, just a testament to the quality of runners we have. Because of course, like he's having a bit of a struggle with it, and we see him hit it as I say that.
Got it. He's got it.
All right.
So
on the
Yep, and on the Vortex side of things, we saw Anne kind of rip through Toasty through getting to the Vortex through what we call dog proxy. So getting hit and clipping through the dog, getting hit by the shepherd, kind of launches her up in the air. We've got an attempt on Biscuit Blast. Yeah, we got an attempt on Biscuit Blast, which has the potential to launch you super high up in the air where you can flip into the room with the Vortex, but wasn't the case here. I'm actually going to be really interested on seeing where Glued is, what World Order Glued's going to be going into, because the main
Wait,
thing
do we have Glued?
We do have Glued.
Glued is okay.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing.
All right. So the reason we mentioned that is we were having a bit of internet issues for Glued. And we were really hoping that we wouldn't have to rely on his sub here. But thankfully, we got him coming in clutch. And yeah, the homeworld order for Vortex is weird. You want to talk about that a little bit?
So,
I interrupted you while you were. But
it's all right. It's all right. So, the most unique thing about Vortex compared to the other two is the level order is completely up to the runner, essentially. Other than a few, like, constants, definitely you start in Artisans, because that's where you start out at. End of the run always takes place in Nasty's World, because that's the end of the run. But otherwise, because the level requirements aren't a thing to you, you can pretty much order Dreamweavers, Magic Crafters, Peacekeepers, and Beastmakers however you want. Except you want Magic Crafters routed, well, you go into Peacekeepers through a special way through Magic Crafters. So at the very end of Magic Crafters, you're going to run into Tuco the Balloonist, and he's going to complain that you haven't grabbed 5 eggs. Yeah, she's attempting the task Treetops, which she's been getting quite a bit of good practice into. And not
actually,
quite getting it, but she gets it.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
So, Anne actually messaged me before this. I was going to mention this, and I forgot that Treetops is coming up. They told me if they were even on something of a lead, they were going to go for that. They wanted to show off the absolute limits of what this category has to offer. Both runners having trouble in Town Square. By the way, that's just an unfortunate flop. But
yeah.
I know Anne plans on going for like every bell and whistle you can possibly imagine in this run. So just expect Anne to pop off. And I'm going to be popping off quite a bit here for the Vortex side of things. There's a lot of just incredibly hype tricks, such as... Oh. All right, well. Such as... Dang.
So what Anne just tried for there in Metalhead was the first trick that she tried for was called Bowling Boost. So you you manage to flop on top of one of those rolling guys. Sometimes they'll send you straight up and let you pretty much skip most of the level. And if not, there's a backup called Squap where you try and dead body proxy off of that other guy that throws the bananas. Didn't quite work, but it's just as easy to just kind of go through that first room, clear out all the pylons, and then damage boost to the end.
Also, I do just want to say sick dog proxy from Glued.
Absolutely.
So this category and what's going to come into play here quite a bit and I do want to make mention of this, is just the amount of Rust runner here. Glued and Ann and Thrasher all started at the same time. And yes, I'm bringing you into this, Thrasher. I have to make mention of it. You all started within 4 days of each other. So every single one of these runners, well, every single one of these two, and Thrasher, all started at roughly the same time. And they are pretty comparable PB-wise, pretty comparable skill-wise, and with the double wizard proxy. Come on, second one. Let's go, baby! Sorry, I had to.
Double Wiz is the patented and spat and haunted.
It's so cool. Every time I get in this level, I just think of Ann because of that trick. It's so cool every time. No,
oh, but that's
it's okay. We're getting quad wizard.
Haunted. Yeah, that's the
quad
biggest
wizard
thing. Yeah, that's the biggest thing in haunted. Unfortunately, turnaround is quite a higher level strat.
Oh my god.
Oh.
All right, so I do want to re-mention the nerves here. I think it's going to be especially prevalent in game 1. Ooh, not going for the double, the pentuple wizard. No. All right, well, we still got another wizard out of it. That's a quad wizard for the gamers out there. So that alone does make this race a bit more competitive. However, I do want to make mention that while they are in the same level right now, they're not really in the same place, right? So what I mean by that is Glued hasn't done Beastmakers and Ann has, which does lend itself to being still pretty in favor of Ann at the moment. However, if we see some more mistakes like that, this could become a much less sizable gap. And what I was saying before... Oh, go ahead.
With how practiced Ann is, I mean, she has run this category borderline obsessively for the past year and change. Honestly, I don't think it's a stretch to say she's probably the most dedicated Vortex runner in this community. And we've got some very dedicated runners in this community. But she has attempts in this category well into the tens of thousands. Just to put that in perspective.
I think it's 17,000 right now.
Yep. If not there, then very close to it. Yeah, it's been quite the journey watching her, gone from having literally never played Spyro 1 before, and then into if I'm not mistaken, 4th place in the Vortex leaderboards with the sub 21.
Yeah. So to talk a little bit more on the whole you guys starting all at the same time, right? That it seems like it was so long ago, but you've all only been running the game for so long, and in that time, you, Ann, and Glued have all secured stellar times in this category, which, in my opinion, I wouldn't say it's the hardest because it's hard to compare them. But it's definitely one of the categories I would say that it takes a lot of tenacity and a lot of and that's unfortunate.
Well, Glued get the Turkey Vader, and it's shaping up to be yes.
Okay, so Ann was shaping up to get the Turkey Vader, but unfortunately they got shine spiked by that turkey at the end. Also got a little correction from CFG. Ann is 5th, Absent is actually 4th.
Gotcha.
So
very solid runners still, though. For a time, those two were tied.
Yeah. But the thing I was trying to mention there is just Ann is just a runner that, like you said, is incredibly dedicated. Glued is also very dedicated and very high level. So I think out of the 3, sets of runners that we have across this relay, this specific race I think means the most to the people involved, just because of that connection they have from when they started. Because like I said, it was with you all 3, 4 days of each other, which is insane. It was around the time when this category was really taking off and kind of growing into its legitimacy and kind of showing its stripes essentially. And I just think that's insane. Like, just to think about like the fact that you all started within that time frame and are all on pretty solid ground in the category itself.
Maybe a little bit more rocky these days with how dedicated Anne's been, how far she's been able to take it. Between me and Glued, we've run other things. We've taken breaks from Vortex, for various reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely wonderful to see, both of my, I would say, close friends, competing together on the stage here. So, yeah.
So, something to mention here that we're heading into here in a moment. Do you think Tuco's gonna be kind? Just before we even get close to him, do you think he's gonna be kind to either team?
We'll say Tuco is generally not very generous. I know that with Anne especially, she's got like cosmic levels of bad luck with Tuco, where she's had dozens and dozens of amazing paces torpedoed by this guy. So to explain Tuco, he has a level requirement that involves collecting 5 eggs in the normal game. If you talk to him and you don't have those 5 eggs, he's going to pick one of 5 places to take you to or tell you to go to. 3 of those different messages you don't want, and 2 of them you do. Oh, she's missing out on the. She's going for Fish Ladder, yeah.
They're going for it on a 3rd try. This is their 3rd attempt, I think. Okay, this one's gonna be good, I think. Yeah, we're fine.
Yep, she's in.
Okay.
She's in like Flynn.
Yes. So that trick is the most comparable thing Sparrow 1 has to Sproder and Dripto. Just because of the inputs you need to do on the mountain to kind of secure a wall glide. The only difference is if you charge in Sparrow 1 and you try to open a glide again, it just doesn't happen. So you can't actually Sproder. You just have to have a really precise wall glide where you gain height at the right times and catch yourself at the right times. And man, it's gotta feel good to get. Even if it was 3rd try, I mean, like, Fish Ladder is just a precise and difficult trick, so
yep,
just be like that sometimes. Continue with your point. My apologies.
It is named after her, and the person who named it is the guy on the right. So full circle. With Tuco, we've already explained that he wants you to have 5 eggs by the time you talk to him. If you don't have those 5 eggs, which you won't, he'll either tell you to go back through Magic Crafters and get them. He'll tell you to go back to Wizard Peak. You don't want him to do that. He'll offer to take you to Stone Hill. You don't want that because you've already been there. The 2 places you want him to take you are either Dry Canyon or Clifftown, because those are in Peacekeepers, and that eliminates a load and running through to get to those levels specifically. We got Glued coming into Blowhard. He's going to be attempting Blowhard Boost, which is I could say is a little bit more of a seasoned than beginner, but still kind of early strat, where you damage abuse off of being shocked, like you see there. And with the Wizard Peak launch to get to the end of the vortex, and I have to do that climb.
Mm-hmm. So just here in a moment, we're gonna see what might be the moment of truth for the run. Glued really needs a 1st try Tuco, I think, to have any shot, because there's still a whole homeworld behind, mind you. And we get a 1st try Tuco. That's the best one you can get. So you can either get Dry Canyon or Clifftown. It's a 2 in 5 chance, so you get a 40% odd. And thankfully we got the better of the 2 out of the 2 and 5. And this is becoming a race.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's always been a race, but it's becoming a little bit tense now that we're into like this stretch of it. Because
I'd like-
if Anne has their cosmic terrible luck with Tuco, this could swing. This could swing it into being an incredibly... Ooh, no.
That's one.
Okay. Chat, start keeping count. Start keeping count. Come on.
That's
I don't
two.
want... Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay.
And
All right,
that's
third
try.
try. So that loses approximately 20 seconds for Anne, which it might not seem like much considering the whole hub, but there's still a lot of run to go. Specifically, Anne has a whole, like, Shemp skip to go through, several other tricks to kind of attempt and go for. This is still anybody's race. Like, it really is. It, like, the crazy thing about all these categories is just that volatility. You never know what somebody might miss, if Tuco's going to comply, if the RNG in whatever aspect of it is going to work well. And just makes this that much more intense.
Absolutely. It's sometimes it's just going to be tense the entire way through. I know for a fact, if you're on a really good pace towards the end, you start getting the TV static, like, starting in your hands, and then it starts progressing through the rest of your body, and that kind of messes with you a little bit. All right, we're going to go for Shemp Proxy here on Glued's end. So we're getting into that little corner. We're getting the little Shemplet to start running, and
Oh, my
first try
lord.
for Glued.
Oh, Glued is so attractive. Like, I know we talked about Fady being the most attractive man in Spyro 3 earlier, but the only Spyro 1 equivalent is Glued. Gotta be. Just so hot.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Just a specimen, truly, among gamers. And the Superman from Anne! Let's go!
All right. So what Anne just demonstrated there is the mamas don't hurt you when they hit you. They just knock you back a little bit. If you're able to do a well-timed jump charge and keep your directional input pointed a certain way, you can just skip one whole entire level on that pueblo that you're supposed to climb. Got Quick and Easy Ice Cavern from Glued, and we've got Anne.
Okay, so Shemp Proxy, it's not frame perfect. I think it's 3 frames, but it's incredibly precise. But you do get a couple attempts at it. Ooh, Anne missing here. Okay, so Anne's gonna go for it again. So this is one of those tricks. It's very volatile, but it's like it's a necessary evil. Like, you need to hit this. Like, if you miss it, you just kind of have to keep going for it. You could run around the level, but you're like conceding. Let's go. Let's go, Anne.
It is.
You're conceding like 50 seconds or something like that if you run around the level. I was told it's about 3 frames, Waffle, but that's fine if it is frame perfect. I was told it's like 3.
I know for a fact, like, you need to have all your nerves completely on point, and just, you know, otherwise it's not necessarily a thing you can necessarily go for. Like, I will say last year I had to do a backup there because there was no way I was nailing that with the pressure that was on. But we got a good, neat ice cavern wall glide for Anne. Oh, just not enough to get it.
Glued also having a bit of trouble in Terrace Town, right here. Please laugh, that was funny. Just because they had a bit of a hiccup on their charge to get the damage boost, but getting through Terrace nice and quick still, nevertheless. Anne did do Beast first, so Anne is actually just going to move on to Nasty's World, whereas Glued has to finish Beastmakers before they can make it to the same hub. There are a few things that could throw a wrench into Anne's plans here, and give Glued an opportunity to catch up.
We'll say they're maybe a little bit slim at this point, because the back half of Beastmakers is not exactly very easy.
No. Glued ideally just has to have a perfect Beastmakers, essentially.
Right.
And Anne would need to, I believe, probably flub Harbor at least once, possibly twice.
Or have...
berry boost.
Yep.
Successful. Unless we get a little bit of a weird... Alright, we're good.
Yep.
And playing that a little bit slower than I've seen her play in the past, but I think she's just trying to make sure that she clicks it and secures this game 1 for her team. But Twilight Harbor can definitely be a brutal trick. Beyond this, I mean, there's Nasty. You can miss the key that's about 25 seconds or nah, it's not 25, it's like 20. But I like the confidence there from you, Chouse. This is the warm up for it. I like it. I like that energy. I like that.
Progressing nicely through Twilight here for Anne. Let's see if she gets the supercharge. She does, but she doesn't get the boost. Harbor strats have been kind of a plague for a lot of top level runners because sometimes you'll get the boost but not get the launch off the guardrail there. All right. She's gonna keep going for it though. If I know her, she's definitely gonna go for it, and she does.
Going
see
for
how
the
squeeze works.
And we're just going straight.
Simple and clean. No need to brush off the rock to get the extra height.
You know, I really love Kingdom Hearts 2, and I appreciate that reference, Thrasher. It's my favorite video game.
Join us
You
for
said
Kingdom Hearts-a-thon.
Yeah. That's actually hosted by Phoenix Ika instead of Aki. That was funny. Please laugh.
So we've got Fast Thief 1. We got Fast Thief 2. Oh no! Tragic. Okay, we got gonna be doing a little lap here to get that second piece for that second key, but otherwise we're looking pretty good on for Elora launching.
Can I just say, Glutus put together a great Vortex run.
Absolutely. Both of these runners are real strong. I'm very impressed with both of them, and especially how far they've come in the time we've been running.
Yeah,
but we're gonna. Yeah. Sorry,
And
Dylan.
in Nasty, coming down to the last stretch here, we're gonna see her run the track with them, and then run to the lava room, and hopefully, I'm assuming Anne's gonna go for glideless, because why not? You know, always go for glideless, but. That is potentially the last choke point there could be in this run. Not to commentators curse it, but it could happen. It could.
Runs have lived and died specifically in this hallway.
Yep.
And slight glide
no
there,
glideless.
but still we're moving pretty quick. And that's gonna be GG for Anchovy right now.
Let's go. I think that was a 124.48 or 58 or 59. One of those two. But incredible time. Incredible Vortaliany time for that team.
Yeah, that stacks up on the normal boards. Let's see here. You know, I probably should have looked these up beforehand, but let's see here. Vortaliany relay. Vortaliany relay, not Vortaliany.
Big GG's to Anne, big GG's to the whole team. Glued going through Harbor the normal way, no supercharge for him. He says, I don't want it. I don't like going that fast. I like just kind of running around. Realistically, this strat doesn't lose actually that much time to what Anne did, if Anne did it optimally. But it's still a little time save, which obviously some runners will go for. But Glued looking to secure a nice like little end game for himself here.
Yeah, it's still a very solid run for him.
Absolutely. Like, both runs were very solid and had some unfortunate hiccups. We, of course, saw that Haunted Towers having a bit of a moment there. Might I even say it was almost a Fady 180 moment. But here we're seeing Team Children of Wonl finishing off strong with Glued, and I don't know. I'm excited for game 2. I had a feeling it would be close, and I think the next race with the nerves shaken off from both teams, I think we're really gonna see the best of the best kind of come out. And I'm pulling for a game 3. I just gotta say that out loud already.
That'd be a real treat.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna see if he goes for credit skip here. Come on, Glued, go for credit skip. Do for the fans. Okay. Oop, bonk. And GG.
Sorry I took so long.
Once again,
Kind of forgot.
phenomenal runs by all 6 runners.
Nasty Nork is toast.
So now
All right.
order again
So
in the
we're gonna head
Dragon
into like a
Kingdom?
little break here.
Well, mostly.
Just a little intermission while we get ready for the
What
second
will you
race.
do next?
Stick with us. We're gonna be right back at it with this next round. Once again, we'll be starting off with the Blunt and Fady with Spyro 3. And if you want to catch some of this fast acting action, be sure to follow the Spyrothon Twitch channel as well as subscribe to us on YouTube and stuff like that. And yeah, we'll catch you in a minute.